Well, the Bank of Canada is holding its benchmark interest rate at 2.25%. CTV's Scott Hurst joins us live with more. Scott, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Bakari.
Okay, Scott, what was the central bank's reasoning for this decision?
Bakari, this was the first interest rate announcement from the Bank of Canada this year, so really the first chance for the Bank of Canada to set the policy rate, but also our first chance to hear from Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem about the future of the Canadian economy on their projections and where they might see the policy rate in the future. So what we heard from the Bank of Canada today, it was widely anticipated by economists, keeping its benchmark interest rate steady at 2.25%, saying its current policy rate remains appropriate based on its outlook and that its projections have largely been in line. Now, what we're hearing from economists is that there really wasn't a compelling reason either way, especially when you take into account inflation that seems to be, continuing to remain in the 2% target range for the Bank of Canada. Here's more from Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem.
Our forecast for economic growth and inflation in Canada has not changed significantly since our October projection. As the Canadian economy continues to adjust to U.S. trade restrictions, we expect the economy to grow modestly and inflation to stay close to our 2% target. However, uncertainty around our forecast is heightened. The range of possible outcomes is wider than usual. U.S. trade policy remains unpredictable, and geopolitical risks are elevated.
So, Bakari, part of what you heard there from the Bank of Canada governor is that the bank believes that inflation will likely stay in that 2% target range. But if the outlook changes because of all the uncertainty, we heard from the Bank of Canada governor saying that the bank will be ready to adjust if necessary.
Okay, again, that indication of a possible change to the interest rate in the near future.
Well, Bakari, what we heard is that timing and direction of the next policy rate is really difficult to predict because of so much uncertainty coming from the United States and its ongoing trade policy. We've seen the impact of tariffs already on many industries in this country and also the threat of new tariffs. But the Bank of Canada governor also specifically singled out the upcoming renegotiation of CUSMA. That is the North American Free Trade Pact between Canada, U.S. and Mexico. It is up for renegotiation this year and a whole lot of uncertainty around it. And so there's a whole lot of uncertainty around the potential risks. So the bank is monitoring that closely, but the range of possible outcomes, according to the Bank of Canada governor, is wider than usual, which is why there's so much uncertainty and so much anxiety about what could come next for the economy, Bakari.
All right, CTV's Scott Hurst. Scott, thank you.